Hello, good morning, and welcome to this webinar on the two-factor authentication in our funding and tenders portal. My name is Peter Hertwig. I am a head of unit in the European Commission's Directorate General for Research and Innovation. I am also the business owner of the funding and tenders portal, and this is mainly the function for which I'm here today. We are in the studio here today together with two colleagues of mine. I want to present Maria Sainz, a colleague in my unit, and also George Vaikar, who is a colleague from our Digit Directorate General, who are the IT providers for our funding and tenders portal. Before we go into the details of the technical implementation, I want to mention some points on the running of this webinar. So it will start with a relatively short presentation on the issues at stake and the further steps. And then we will have quite some time for your questions, and we will try to answer them at the best of our capacity. The possibility for asking questions is via Slido. So you can immediately start putting your questions, and you can do this throughout the whole webinar by going to slide.do, opening a separate browser, and then by using the code of today's event, which is simply 2FA. So you put in as a code 2FA, and you will land in the place in Slido where you can put your questions. I would also ask you to look at the questions that others might already have put there. And if you have the same question or a very similar question, do not repeat the question, but just put a like to the question of the others that you want. And we will then at the end go through the list of questions in the order of number of likes, so that we can at least have enough time to reply to the most popular questions. This is by way of introduction. I will now go into the short presentation and start with the question why we are doing all this. You know that the funding and tenders portal is not just a portal for getting information on calls and funding opportunities and for finding documents and guidance. It is also a very transactional system, meaning you have access to a lot of content and information on your proposals, on your projects, on your expert profile, and so on. All this kind of information is categorized concerning in compliance with the Commission's categorization as so-called sensitive non-classified. So it is not secret information, as we know, but it is still very sensitive, and it should be protected accordingly. And you also know that many of our projects are collaborative projects. So the roles that you might have for accessing data and information give also access to the information of other partners in your projects. And so there is another risk of exposing data that should not be exposed. And that is the reason why also the Commission Central Services, our cybersecurity services, have since quite a while concluded that the simple password protection is not secure enough for the category of sensitive non-classified information. This means that we will have to enforce this two-factor authentication for anybody who has access to this sensitive non-classified information. And I put here a list of the roles that are concerned. Maybe it's not 100% complete, but it gives you the flavor. So it's basically everybody having access to information about legal entities, about our beneficiaries in the legal entity database. It is the legal and financial signatories having access to project information, the same for coordinator contacts and participant contacts, task managers and team members who are involved in managing the grants, And it applies also to the experts having an expert profile in our expert database. So we have indicated and announced that the two-factor authentication will come since quite a while. We had a very similar webinar on this, I think in January of this year. So what I tell you here is basically a repetition with some more additions of what we said in January. So there was, in our opinion, enough time for everybody concerned to prepare for activating a second factor and getting used to the two-factor authentication. And that is the reason why we will now get, so to say, serious and start the rollout of the mandatory use of two-factor authentication for a subset of our users already before the end of the year, but in any case, in the first quarter of next year for all concerned users. Of course, each user will individually notified in due time before the mandatory use of the two-factor authentication will kick in for the concerned user. Now to go into the details of how you can do this and which options you have for the second factor. So two-factor authentication in principle means you have to have something that you know, meaning in our case your password, which has to be complemented by something that you own, a device. And this is the second factor. And on this slide, you see that we currently have 4 options for adding this second factor. You can use a mobile device, meaning a smartphone or tablet, where you install our EU login app. You can also use your national ID card, which is actually a very convenient method. If you are used to using your national ID card for digital interactions with your national administrations, then the eID is maybe your method of choice. You can also buy a special USB security key, or you can use a special chip that is nowadays in most of the modern computers and notebooks as a second factor. So in that case, you wouldn't even need a second separate device, but you can use a device that is in your computer already. And then the last method is to install a passkey on your mobile device or computer. And I will now go through the 4 methods with a bit more detail. So first method is that you have a mobile device and you install on this mobile device the EU login app. You have to go to the funding intenders portal, you go to my account, and then you will be seeing this screen on the right-hand side, and then there is one entry which is called Manage My Mobile Devices, and there you can add new mobile devices. And we will now have a short video explaining you in more detail how you do this.
Authenticate via EU login app. For this option, please install the EU login app from the Play Store. Go to the portal, click on your profile, and select My Account. Click on Manage My Mobile Devices. Click on Add a Mobile Device. Provide a device name and enter a PIN code. In the app, click Initialize. Then, scan the QR you are presented with on the PC screen. Confirm via the app using your PIN code. Then go back to the portal, click on your profile, select Security Settings, and click on Activate. Select 3 questions and provide answers. These answers will be used for recovery access. To authenticate with the EU login app, you have 2 possibilities. 1. Open the app in your mobile first. Back to your PC screen, Provide your password and select EU Login Mobile App PIN code. Then, confirm the login in your app via the PIN code. 2. Open the app in your mobile first. Back to your PC screen, provide your password and select EU Login Mobile App QR code. Select Scan QR code in the app. Then enter the code you received and click on Sign In. Thank you for watching.
So this was the first method. Now we come to the second method, meaning you use your national EID card if you have one. You see on this slide the list of countries for which this is currently enabled. It is, if we counted correctly, 22 countries, 21 member states and Liechtenstein. So if your country is in the list, you can use this opportunity. And we will also have a short video explaining you how to do it.
Authenticate via ID card. Go to the portal, click on your profile, and select My Account. Click on Manage My eIDs. Click on Link My eID. For obvious reasons, you can link one ID to one account. Select the country. EU Login will redirect you to the selected country. Follow the instructions for the country. After following the instructions specific to the selected country, you will be redirected to the EU Login page and will see a confirmation that the eID is linked now to your account. Then go back to the portal, click on your profile, select My Account, and click on Activate. Select 3 questions and provide answers. These answers will be used for recovery access. To authenticate with a national ID, do as follows. Select eID Authentication. Select the country. You will be redirected to the selected country eID page. Follow the instructions specific for that country. Once successful, you will connect to the portal without a need to provide a password. Thank you for watching.
Now on the third method, this is the special USB security key method. This is a method if you want to have your second factor across different devices, and you have to buy this security key. Is a special USB key, is not a normal USB memory key. It's the highly secure way to authenticate. It does not require a smartphone if you do not want to use your smartphone or if you don't have a smartphone. And you then have simply to plug in the security key into your device via USB and link it to your EU Login account. And once it is set up, the access is very, very easy. Next method is the trusted platform module. So as I already announced or indicated, many of modern computers have a special small chip inside that provides for these security provisions. The issue here is, of course, if you choose this method, you have to use the device for which you have registered the method for accessing our portal. It can be configured in different operating systems, so on Windows, on Apple computers, but also on Linux. I will not go through the details here of how to set it up, because it's a bit different in the different platforms. You will have the slides afterwards in our event page. You also have ample guidance in our IT how-to, and we will finally also see a short video on this. So as I said, on Windows, Apple, and also on Linux, it's possible to install this trusted platform. And we will now go into a short video.
Authenticate via a security key or trusted platform. Go to the portal, click on your profile, and select My Account. Click on Manage My Security Keys and Trusted Platforms. Select if it is a security key, external to the PC, or a trusted platform, internal chip from the PC. The steps to register any of them are the same. Give it a name. You need to authenticate now with the selected platform using the PIN or biometric authentication. You will receive a confirmation for the passkey being created. Click OK. Finally, you will see the confirmation that the selected method has been added to your list. Then go back to the portal, click on your profile, select My Account, and click on Activate. Select 3 questions and provide answers. These answers will be used for recovery access. To authenticate via trusted platform, do as follows. Select security key or trusted platform. Then, authenticate with it using either the PIN or the biometric means. Thank you for watching.
Okay, we come to the last option that is offered currently, which is the registration of a passkey on your device. This is a robust security using cryptographic keys and a very secure way to sign in across different applications. And again, we have a short video to explain how it works in detail.
Authenticate via passkey. You may also use your smartphone or tablet as security key, storing the passkey in the device, without using the EU login app. Please note that for this method to work, Bluetooth must be turned on, both on the PC and the device. They do not need to be paired. For this method, first you need to save a passkey on your device. You can do it directly in the device. This is the easiest way. In your mobile device, open a browser session and go to the portal, log in and click on your profile, select My Account. Click on Manage My Security Keys and Trusted Platforms. Select to add a security key. Give it a name. Select this device to set it up security key, then use your mobile means of authentication to generate the passkey, for example, the phone PIN code. Finally, you will see the confirmation that the selected method has been added to your list. Alternatively, you can set it up from your computer. This could be a bit more cumbersome depending on your current operating system, browser. To do so, go to the portal on your PC, click on your profile, and select My Account. Click on Manage My Security Keys and Trusted Platforms. Select to add a security key. Give it a name. Depending on the operating system, you might see just a few options. Make sure to click on More Choices to display all. And if you still see only the options linked to PC, Trusted Platform, cancel. Then click OK. And accept the prompting to allow EU login to see your security key model. When prompted to insert the security key, click Cancel. Then select the option Use a different phone or tablet. A QR is generated with the passkey. Scan it with your device. Tap the passkey on the device to use it. Then, click Continue to save it. Authenticate on the device with your device PIN. You will see a confirmation on the PC for the addition of the passkey. Then go back to the portal on your PC, click on your profile, select Security Settings and click on Activate. Select 3 questions and provide answers. These answers will be used for recovery access. To sign in using the passkey stored on your phone, select Security Key or Trusted Platform. Remember to turn on Bluetooth both on the device and the PC. You see a list of your security keys. Select the one corresponding to your mobile device from the list. Again, depending on your operating system or browser, what you see could vary a bit. If prompted to either use an iPhone, tablet or Android, select that option. In that case, you will be presented with a QR you need to scan with the device. Then, tap the security key on the device and select Connect. Once the device is connected, follow the instructions on the device. You could also see your device brand in the list directly. Select it and follow the instructions on the device. Or select the option Different Phone or Tablet to generate a QR you will scan with the device as described before. When you see the pop-up asking to check the device, check on your device and accept the prompt to connect to device. Thank you for watching.
So now we come to a next issue, which is, of course, there might be instances where your second factor is no longer accessible. Your smartphone gets lost or stolen, or you forget access to passkeys and so on and so forth. In this case, you have to deactivate the second factor via the security settings in our portal. And there is, in this screen, you can see it, a button for deactivating this two-step verification or the two-factor verification. When you do this, you need to get back to the 3 security questions that you had to reply to when first establishing the second factor. And then you can remove this lost second factor from your list in your account, and you can add a new second factor. Once the two-factor authentication is mandatory, it means that if you actually lost a second factor or all your second factors that you had registered, at that moment you will no longer have access to the functions of our portal, and you will have to follow this procedure to re-establish a new second factor, and then with this new second factor you can go back to the functions of our portal. I will later on also come to another scenario where it is even so to say more complex, meaning that you lost your second factors and you don't remember the replies to the 3 questions, but we will come to this. Now a few questions that we have heard before and that are recurring from many users. So before going into the question and answer session, we reply already to these questions, of which we know that they are of interest to many users. So if you have 2 EU login accounts, that can, for instance, happen for users who are at the same time individual experts and are also active for an organization, then you can use your personal email and account for your expert business, and of course you use the one of your organization for managing proposals or project. In this case, the advice is to use the trusted platform method. It can be connected to several EU login accounts. If you do not want to install the EU login mobile app and you do not have a trusted platform, then there is still the possibility to install this passkey on your mobile phone. You will have seen from the video that the passkey method is not the easiest of all, but it's still possible, and if you do it, you will see you can manage it. Then there is another recurring question. What happens if we have an account that is shared between several users? And here we have to give a very strict answer saying that this practice might still exist, but since long time we emphasize that this is not compliant with the terms of use of the funding and tenders portal. So we prescribe and start from the assumption that an EU login account is strictly linked to one user. So you are not supposed to share login and password between different users. And we also emphasize that the identity and access management of the portal provides for all the flexibility to share assets and to work together without sharing your login and password. So you can have many users in the same role accessing projects and proposals or accessing legal entity information. So, you know, we have coordinator contacts that can register and remove other coordinator contacts. We have participant contacts that can register and remove other participant contacts. And we have legal entity appointed representatives that can register and nominate and remove account administrators who can do exactly the same as the LIAs themselves, except for delegating further. So please, if there are such cases, you will have to change your practice now, because once we make the second factor mandatory, this practice will simply no longer work. Next steps. So we have yesterday sent notifications to a set of about 3,500 users to announce to them that for them the two-factor authentication will become mandatory in a week, meaning on the 10th of December, for the users concerned, you will no longer be able to access your assets on the funding and tenders portal if you haven't activated the second factor. We will, of course, watch and monitor this pilot very closely to see if there are any hiccups and things that would prevent a further rollout. We expect that this is not the case, which means our plan is in the first quarter of 26 to roll out the mandatory two-factor authentication to all the concerned users that I mentioned in one of my first slides. Now coming to a few more remarks on how this works. We currently have, in terms of two-factor authentication, already three types of users. We have users who have already activated voluntarily the second factor and have provided the replies to the 3 security questions. For these users, nothing will change. The only change is that if you ever decide to remove your second factor, then of course after it becomes mandatory, you will no longer be able to access the functions of the portal. Then the second type of user is users who have activated a second factor in their EU login account directly, not via our portal. So there are some other applications in the Commission who are requesting the second factor. For these users who have already a second factor but have not yet replied to our three security questions, once we make it mandatory for these users, they will have first to go through the replies of the 3 security questions so that they can have a method for recovery of their account if the second factors get lost. And then we have the third kind of users who have not yet bothered to activate the second factor. For these users, once it becomes mandatory, of course, you have to go through one of the methods that we described before and set up the second factor. Only then you can regain access to the portal. And here is a list of a few more points of advice. first advice, it is very recommendable that you register more than one second factor. This is a simple fallback security measure, so that in case you lose access to one of your second factors, you still have another one with which you can access your EU login account and our portal, and can then, for instance, if your smartphone got stolen, use the other factor to remove your stolen smartphone from the list of second factors. Also, a very important advice is that you should store the 3 security questions and their answers in a secure place that you also remember, because this is the method to recover access in case you have lost all your second factors. I mentioned already under the first point, if you lose a second factor, a device or whatever, you should remove it immediately from your EU login account. And removing works in the same way as adding one. Then there can even be a situation which we'll hope, of course, will happen only very, very rarely, meaning that all your second factors get lost, you don't have access to them anymore, and you also, oh no, this is not yet the last one. So if all your second factors get lost, then there is a panic button in your EU login account. You should press this panic button, and then you can register new second factors, and then can, by replying to your 3 security questions that you hopefully remember, also regain access to the Funding and Tenders portal. So that is the important point where you actually need the 3 security questions. And then there is the worst of all cases. You have lost all your second factors and you cannot find back the replies to the 3 security questions. And then you also have to press the panic button, but then you don't have an own method to regain access because you don't remember the 3 replies to the questions. And there the only remaining method is to contact our service desk, and the service desk will then take contact with you to verify your identity. But as I said again, the last point, please make sure that this never happens. So I'm at the end of the presentation. I have here a slide with more useful links, so you can see all the videos that we showed here. Again, you have an extended section in the IT how-to on the different methods of two-factor authentication. We have FAQs on the EU login for the self-registered accounts, and of course, the last resort is always our IT service desk in case you cannot solve the issues yourself. And with this, I'm at the end of the presentation, and we now look forward to replying to the Slido questions, if the colleagues can bring them up. Okay, it starts with, what will happen to those organizations that use one email address only to log in? We have multiple team members using one email address to log into the portal. I think I replied to this question on one of my slides. This is against the terms of use of the Funding and Tenders portal. And if you apply this practice, you have to change it. So the principle is one EU login equals one physical user. You must not share your password and log in as a user of the EU login account. And as I said, this is no drama. You just have to change a bit your practice in how you manage the access rights, and you can delegate rights to everybody who needs to know and needs to have access to your beneficiary details or to the details of the projects in which you are involved. Next question, I do not have a job mobile phone. They do not provide them for us, and I am forced to use my personal mobile phone, which I do not want. What in this case? So there are other methods that we described. So you still have the option of the trusted platform if your computer provides for this. You have the option of the passkeys that you can also install on your computer, and you have the option of the USB security key that you will have to buy, but that will avoid you using a personal device. Next question, can a profile be associated to multiple phone numbers? And can the same phone number be associated to multiple profiles? I think I would like to hand over the reply to this question to maybe Georgia.
Yes, I will try to answer this. And I see one of the next questions is also linked to this. So we said, I think Peter already mentioned in the presentations, in case you have multiple accounts, so one professional and one personal, there are several options that we can offer for this. One of them is on the Android mobile operating system. There is an option that allows you to have a second instance of the uLogin mobile app. And this second instance is, of course, completely isolated from the first one. So each instance can be configured to be linked to a separate profile. And can a profile be associated to multiple phone numbers? I think this goes back to also reusing what you have already answered.
Yes.
So this is what we currently enforce. So one user, one account linked to one user. We have all the role management, identity and access management available in the portal. So the recommendation here is that you grant the necessary roles across all your concerned users in your organization, and each of them will have to follow the steps to configure their own second factor on the list of second factor options that we are currently supporting.
And maybe if I can complement, as George said, some phone numbers and some operating systems allows you to have what they call a dual installation setting. And there you can have twice the EU login app, and you can, with the same telephone number, you can be associated to two different login accounts.
Yeah, and maybe coming back to the first part of the question, can a profile be associated to multiple phone numbers? So, as I said, it is even recommended to register more than one second factor to your account. So if, for instance, you have two mobile phones, you can register these two mobile phones as two different second factors to your uLogin account. That is possible. Next question. Notified in due time 8 days before forced implementation is not due time for institutional users. We were notified yesterday for 10th of December. Yes, indeed, but this was not the first time that we have announced that this will come. So we had, for instance, the same kind of webinar in January. We have since more than a year a pop-up warning on our portal that is shown to you every time you log in, telling you that you are encouraged to activate the second factor as soon as possible. And so you cannot claim that nobody knew about this and it came as a complete surprise. So this is something we cannot fully accept as a criticism. So we have replied to the next question already. May one phone number be used for more profiles? It is possible in certain circumstances. Next question, is it possible to use a single security key for several accounts?
I can try to answer.
Yes, Georgia, please.
So security keys, as already mentioned, explained in the slides, together with the trusted platforms and the passkeys, all three methods currently the underlying technology is public key cryptography. So at the moment in the industry, based on the current security standards, they are considered the strongest security measures. So assuming a user has two accounts, let's say one professional, one corporate, and one personal. After buying this security key from the market, it is indeed possible. One user can use the same security key to link it to different accounts. Yes, it is possible.
And if I may, it's explained in the IT how-to. You will find more information on how to do it in our guidance. Okay.
Okay, the next question is exactly the same. And then we have what happens when I buy a new phone. Congratulations. This is not a problem. So either you have still your old phone and you have the new phone in addition. If you want to abandon your old phone, you should go to the portal and to your EU login account and remove it as a second factor. But before you do it, you add your new phone as a new second factor, and everything works as before. So no problem at all. Next question. Please, could you tell us what feedback you have taken on board from the questionnaire responses, what changes you have made? So we have basically reinforced our guidance. We also are about to make it yet easier for leaders and account administrators to get access to the information about projects, but because this was one of the main issues. But otherwise, the four main methods, the options that you have had, have not changed. What we, of course, also have done in preparation for this next step is to inform our service desks so that they are prepared for a potential increase of the questions and issues that they have to solve in the coming weeks. Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, maybe, and if we can, we are constantly reviewing the IT how-to, and we are making it as updated as possible. So we are always taking into account your request.
Okay, next one. How can we easily include several coordinator contacts from my institution in a project? We used to log in with only one account. So if you have a coordinator contact having access to a given project, then this coordinator contact can nominate an unlimited number of other coordinator contacts. So just by going to the portal, to the respective project, by manage consortium, so there are a few steps, by putting in the email of that supposed to be other coordinator contact. So we have other webinars and other sets of slides where this is explained in detail. It is fully flexible, so you can nominate new contacts at any moment. You can remove contacts if they are no longer needed. It's even recommended to go through the list of roles from time to time to clean them from people who are no longer there and should no longer have access. So that is all provided for. Next one, I think we already replied. Can you have more mobile devices associated with one email? Yes, you can simply add other second factors to the same account. Next one, I have two professional accounts, I mean for two organizations. May I use the same mobile? I think if I remember well here, the reply is yes, in certain circumstances, if you can install two instances of the EU Login mobile app on your phone. It depends on your operating system of your phone.
Yes,
Maria.
If you are going to use the EU Login mobile app, you need to have this dual installation. But you can also, in your mobile, install two passkeys. If you use the mobile to have this method, the passkeys, you can have in your mobile 2, 3, or more passkeys. And in this case, with no problem, you can use the mobile as a second factor of authentication with the passkeys, okay? Or a combination. Sorry, you can also have one with a mobile app and one with a passkey.
Okay, next question. Has the disruption to institutions who use the portal been considered with this rollout? Yes, of course. But here we have to say the establishment of a second factor is not rocket science. It can be done in 2 minutes, and there should be no issue. It's just a question of willingness and being prepared for this. And if you have problems in establishing the second factor for an important function that you need at a certain moment, we have the service desk, and the service desk will help you to establish the second factor.
And also internally, we have discussed with the different services and departments to see if there were any peak, an important call for proposals being open, or any peak de travail. So really, we have made it necessary not to install this mandatory use of the second factor in the worst part of the year for the users.
If I can add something.
Yes,
on the
please.
technical side, so we have, of course, as my colleagues explained, taken this into consideration, but the current best practices and trends on the industry, so considering the latest security standards, go in the same direction. So you can see also in the major providers in the private market, they also gradually force their user communities to move to second factor authentication. And the trend on short and longer term is to move away from password-only authentication and go in the direction of passwordless solutions. This goes back to what I previously explained, the answer to one of the questions, so using public key cryptography. Yes.
Okay.
The next one.
Next question, is there a plan to reinstall the SMS way of authentication so you don't need an extra device app? The clear answer is no. So our cybersecurity services have decided that the SMS way of authentication has issues, provides loopholes, and it is not secure enough. So there is no plan to reinstall this. Next question, to add a new device, EU login platform requires to use the two-factor authentication to register the new device. The two-factor authentication EU login app does not work in the new device. It is a cul-de-sac. So it's a catch-22 if I translate this into English. I personally don't have this experience because before this webinar, I tried again with a private account to start from zero and to establish the second factor, and I managed. So, but maybe colleagues, do you understand what happened here?
So I understand the
Can
question.
intervene if you want.
Yes, please.
Yes, please. We have
You.
colleagues from the EU Login Center service also in our meeting, so please go ahead, colleagues.
You do not need to authenticate with a second factor authentication method if you want to register the new device from scratch. If you do not have any second factor authentication method already configured, you can freely install the EU Login mobile app and configure it, or use any other MFA to be used for the first time. It's only when you already have an MFA configured, then you will be requested to use it in order to configure another one. If you lose the already configured MFA, then you will need to press the panic button or remove that one that you don't have access to anymore so that you can add a new one.
Okay, thank you. Next question, what are the official technical and regulatory requirements for the use of USB security keys? I don't think we can reply here on the fly, but I know that we have them somewhere, and we will put them possibly, if they are not yet there, in the IT how-to, and we might also put reference to the event page so that you can find it afterwards. George, do you want to add to this?
I can add a bit of technical information background for this. So security keys are based on that are compliant with the current security settings on your login. So they are based on the FIDO2 standard, which is an open standard for multi-factor passwordless authentication. So it's an industry open standard. It's not something we invented. we go with the industry trends. And from regulatory requirement, I think this goes in, it's also aligned, compliant with the GDPR. So any access to sensitive data must be protected with a second factor. And also under industry standards go in the same direction. I'm referring here to the NIST, so National Institute for Standards and Technologies. There are several standards that support this security setting based on cryptography, as we have already explained.
Okay, next question. How can we assign institutional users from the same institution quickly to all the projects in which the institution is involved? As I said, the coordinator contacts and participant contacts in the individual projects can assign anybody as additional coordinator or the participant contacts, meaning also the institutional users. So it's in the first instance an issue of internal organization in your university or research institute, that you can, for instance, give an instruction in your entity that as soon as somebody starts preparing a proposal, this or that institutional user should get a role as coordinator or participant contact. We also encourage this. There is already a function which is, so to say, encouraging people involved in the individual projects to give access to this project to the leaders. But we, from our side, cannot enforce this for personal data protection reasons. So indeed, it is something you have to solve at the level of organization, but the technical provisions on our side for doing this are there. It's not at the click of one button, so it requires the cooperation of the people having the roles in the individual proposals and projects. Next question, how to click the panic button if I'm unable to log in. So the panic button, I hope I'm correct, can be accessed with single-factor authentication. Yeah. So you do, of course, if you lose all your second factors, that would indeed be a catch-22. So it is not the case. So single-factor authentication is enough. We could imagine a follow-up question. If I forgot everything, even my login and password, then, as you know, there is a possibility to regain access by asking for the establishment of a new password with an email that is sent to you. Next question. I believe you were going to consider implementing a system that would allow us to recover the roles we currently have in projects. Am I right? So there are no roles that will get lost in this exercise. Any user having a set of roles on any organizations or projects, when the two-factor becomes mandatory, will of course keep these roles. So there is no need to be concerned about this. Next question, using one email address to log in the pre-award phase is feasible. It will be difficult now to have different email addresses to log in. What can be done? I'm not sure I understand the question. Does anybody using one?
It's the same. If I understand the question in the direction of, so the user has a new login account. It uses this account in the pre-award phase. The same new login account can be also used for the other phases in for applying to call for proposals. So it's not strictly linked to a specific phase of a project.
So maybe to say it again in other words, on all the project roles, the provision of these roles starts with somebody starting to prepare a proposal in our system. And then these roles that are assigned during the proposal preparation phase are transmitted to the next phases. So in case you are successful and we come to grant agreement preparation, all the rows that were there in the proposal are of course kept and you have access to the next steps. We are not sure whether we replied to the question correctly, but this is our understanding at the moment. Next one, can I have 2 USB keys for one account as we are 2 admins and we are sometimes working from home? So technically, the reply is yes. As we said, you can assign several second factor devices to one and the same account. But I seem to understand in the question that you are sharing the same account. And I come back to what I said before. This is against the terms of use of our funding and tenders portal. And you should think about other ways of managing your situation. Next, we have more than 100 users. Can the rollout be planned in advance depending on the active project, for instance, so we can help the users progressively? I mean, this is something we try to emphasize since more than a year. Please start immediately. You can activate the second factor for every user as of now, or I would even say as of more than a year ago. So we don't have to warn you in advance. You can start becoming ready now, and this is our strong recommendation. Turn to your users if they haven't seen our webinar, if they have always ignored the pop-ups on our portal, tell them now is the moment to test it. As long as it is not yet mandatory for you, you have the possibility to play with the system, to register second factors, to remove them, so that when the day comes, you are prepared. Next question, to manage lists of users involved in a common project, why not implement a new function with groups of users to ease the management of users' accesses? This was all considered when we designed the system. There are issues of personal data protection, and so we are currently of the opinion that the way it is set up, that it is in a certain sense the delegated self-management of the access rights in a chain of trust, as we say it, is the best way of doing it. So I don't fully understand the idea behind these function groups, but for the moment we stay at this principle that there are people who start, let's say, a proposal, who then have the right and the power to invite others, and so on and so forth. I don't know how it would work with groups, because again, the EU login account is supposed to be linked to one given physical person. Next question, how can I add my phone number in the portal? When I want to add a mobile device in the portal, all fields in the app are grayed out apart from settings. That is a very specific question. IT colleagues, is this something that is familiar to you? Are such cases known?
No, we will have to see
So,
with the service.
Yes, please, go ahead.
So a phone number do not have any use in EU login, so it is not possible to add a phone number because you cannot use it to receive SMS with the verification code anymore. When it comes to adding a mobile device in the portal, the process needs to start from the EU login My Account page. So you click on Add a Device, as we have seen in the video, and then you go to the mobile app in your mobile device and link it with your account with the PIN code that you have chosen in the EU login page on the computer. If the fields are all grayed out, this means that you would need to initialize the app, which means that you need to link it with your account. It's not working because it's not linked. That's the obvious reason.
Mm-hmm. So if your problem persists, I would ask you to open a ticket with our IT service desk and they will come back to you and help you. Next question, if someone gives access to the LIR, will the people that the LIR delegated as account admin automatically get access to? Yes. So that is the oh no, sorry. This is about giving access to roles in a project. And this is based on the person. So if, let's say, a coordinator contact in a given project gives access to the LIR of the organization, only the LIR of the organization will have access to that project. So it has to be done one by one if you also want account administrators to see this information in the project. Next question, what to do when an old out-of-use email address is in the funding and tenders portal, but the two-factor authentication is set up with the new email address. Logging in with the two-factor authentication doesn't work. So here we have an old email address and we have a new email address. So the principle here is that indeed EU login accounts are linked to email addresses. And if you use an EU login account that is linked to this old email address, the new email address and the two-factor authentication in the new email address has no meaning. So what you would have to do if you decide that indeed you don't want to use your old email address anymore, you can change the email address linked to your EU login account in this account. This is possible for normal users. It is not possible for LIRs because LIRs have a higher security setting of the EU login account. If this happens for a LIR, you have to contact us and then there is a special procedure for changing the email address of a LIR. But for all other users, you can do this yourself. And then once you establish the correct new email address in your EU login account, you should or you can then add second factors to it. So we are not 100% sure that we solved your question, but if you have, again, particular issue, please contact the service desk. Next question, can a trusted platform be used for the same account in different devices? For example, a computer and a tablet or mobile?
Yes, the trusted platform can be configured on different devices. It is actually one of our recommendations to have multiple factors configured. So you can configure a trusted platform on your computer, link it to your account, then do the same on a tablet, and on a mobile device you can use also passkey. So the answer is yes, you can have multiple trusted platforms linked to one account.
And the next question, I think we replied already. Yes, if you have more than one smartphone or you have a smartphone and a tablet, you can link these two as two separate two-factor devices, and you can then access with the one or with the other. This is even recommended, as we said, having more than one second factor registered will help you in case of loss of one of the factors. Next question, what to do if I forgot answers to the 3 security questions? So first thing is, you do normally not need them. So if everything is still okay with your second factors, then you can work as normal. It becomes only difficult if you lose your second factors. And then the only remaining possibility for regaining access is to contact our service desk. Next question, from where can I delete my old device? to manage my account on mobile devices, I have to sign in through the mobile device, which I don't have anymore. I think we replied to this in one of the slides. You then have to use this method using the replies to the 3 security questions. So you log in with the single factor, you press this button, remove this 2-factor authentication, and then you follow the steps that we described before. Next question, my organization bans Windows Hello. That means trusted platform is inaccessible. What other option is equally good? For us, all the other 3 options that were mentioned are equally good. So they provide the necessary security according to our cybersecurity experts. So EU login with mobile phone or tablet, passkey, or a special USB key can be used in that case. Next, can the leader give access to the project to his or her team, or must it come from the person who submitted the project in the first place? No. Once the leader has access, let's say as a coordinator contact or a participant contact to a given project, the leader can also nominate other coordinator contacts or participant contacts. So the leader can give then the further delegation to others. That's possible. Which is in a certain sense also another reply coming back to the other question of whether account administrators are automatically linked to a project if the leader has access. Here the reply was no, but the method that we just described can give access also to the account administrators by the leader doing this. Next one. I'm trying to reinstall 2-factor authentication on my personal mobile phone. The app takes me around in circles and it is impossible to make the changes. Here the advice is please contact our IT service desk. Next question, where to get the USB key? We cannot here make publicity for any of the providers of such special security keys, but a simple search on the web or on your artificial intelligence application will give you a few options for buying such keys. So there are a few providers out there who sell these keys. Next one, is this video available on this page or another one? Yes, the video will be available on the event page. Maybe it is already, and you can find this. And it also, the whole session here will be or is recorded and will be available for others to watch later on. Next one, how can we find out which users in our organization are not using 2-factor authentication yet? I'm afraid we cannot give you this information because of concerns of personal data protection. So you would have to inquire in your organization. Next question, how can we contact the service support? So if you go to the funding and tenders portal, there is a section on guidance and support, and there is then also a menu entry for the IT service desk, which opens a web form where you have to encode certain issues on what is your problem about and then put in your question. Does the mobile app require SIM card or internet access is enough?
I will read the question again. Mobile app requires SIM card or internet access is enough. Yes, internet access is enough. For the QR code option of the mobile app, it can also be used offline, so it doesn't need internet access. Yes.
Okay. Next one, the passkey option does not work for either my colleague or me, neither via phone nor via PC, all different products. The process differs from how it's outlined. Okay, of course, our guidance cannot cover for all situations. So there are many different operating systems and variants of operating systems. Again, in this case, please contact our service desk and open a ticket with them. Next one. Leaders can appoint account administrators. Is there a similar option for PF sign and PL sign? So the system here is that leaders or account administrators can appoint a list of F signs and L signs for the organization. And then there is another step, assigning one of these people from the list of the organization to a given project. And this has to be done by somebody having a project role. So if you are a participant, you have participants' contacts in the given project. The participant contact sees the list of all the, let's say, F signs that the leader has nominated for the organization and then can select one of them or several of them. That is the way it works. But if PF signs and PL signs or F signs and L signs cannot nominate others. This is a privilege of the leader or the account administrator. Next one, for some projects, the list of users will be very long. Is it possible to add a new functionality for the coordinator to group the users for a clearer display? That is actually a very useful hint. We will take it up and we will look into it. That is always welcome to have such suggestions, and we take note. We keep it in mind. Thank you. Next one. 2 devices linked to the account do I have to use phone 1 to register device 2? If deleting the default device, will phone 2 automatically be default? No. So the 2 factors, the second factor devices that you register are independent of each other. You can use either the one or the other. And of course, if you remove one, there is no default. The other one will still be there and you can do the things with the other one. So there is no primus inter pares, so to say, in this game. All the second factors are equal. Next one. Can we have the same method for 2 profiles as a project engineer and as an external evaluator for Erasmus+? Is there an option you recommend? So I assume this is the situation where you have a role in a project on behalf of your organization, and you are also an expert evaluator on your personal behalf. And you want to use the same method for the 2 profiles. It depends on the method. Yeah. So maybe we mentioned the method with the EU login and the smartphone. Here we said already before, Maria, you repeat.
If I can, you can use the login, the mobile app, the EU login mobile app, if your smartphone allows you to do so. If you have this dual registration setting, in this case, you can have the same smartphone for the 2 profiles. You can also have 2 different passkeys in your telephone. If you want to use the same method, you can use either the mobile app if your telephone allows you to do so, or the 2 passkeys. And you can always use a combination of methods. You can have on the one hand the mobile app, on the other hand a passkey. So we don't recommend you an option as you prefer.
Okay. Next question, important. Sorry, I might have missed this. When does the 2-factor authentication become mandatory? It will become mandatory in a pilot for a subset of the users next week, Wednesday, so in 1 week from now. And the plan is to make it mandatory for all users concerned in the first quarter of next year. But again, our plea is don't wait until we force you. Please activate the second factor now. And you see how it works for you. You can play with the different methods. And then when the day comes, you are prepared and you don't have to do anything anymore. Next question, have you taken the reviews in the App Store for the EU login app into account? Constant death loops and error 5305 messages are being experienced by users. I'm afraid I have to hand over this question to our EU login team. Can you?
Yes, I can intervene
please.
on this
Thank
if
you.
you allow. Thank you for this. So the question says, have you taken the reviews in the App Store? Yes. When it comes to some errors that can be experienced in using the mobile app, we always recommend to contact the service desk, of course. But then the reviews in the App Store, because the mobile app of EU Login was published a while ago, it was used by many users. Some of them, of course, experienced, let's say, not very pleasant circumstances, but then the EU Login mobile app has been updated, changed since then, and then, if I can announce this, there will be a new EU Login mobile application version expected early next year, with a lot of improvements in the user experience and with a seamless flow for enrollment and authentication as well. So we are taking this into account. We are always improving, and the mobile app will keep improving as well.
Okay, thank you. Next one, if we buy a security key for one person, what happens when the person leaves the organization? Can we pass it on to another person? Interesting question. So can we use the same USB key and then assign it to another EU login account? Colleagues who can reply this.
I can, yeah. So a security key is an authentication method, of course. It can be shared between different accounts.
Okay.
Are we talking about different physical persons? Yes, technically, because the USB key is removable, so you can plug it in whatever device you want. It can be also plugged into some mobile devices. However, a security key is protected by a PIN code. So handing over the security key to another person means that you would need to hand over also the PIN code of that security key or reinitialize it. Reinitialize it means that it will not be usable for the another user because the previous PIN code will not be valid anymore.
Yeah.
So technically, yes.
So I assume for such situation, what has to be done is if somebody leaves the organization, all the roles that this person has in all our applications, and possibly also the whole EU login account should be deleted of that person. And then this passkey can be used to add it as a second factor to another person's EU login. Correct? Yeah, I see the colleague.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Okay. So the simple reply is you don't have to throw it away, but you have to be careful and do certain steps for this kind of handover. Next question. We are currently in a periodic reporting process. Did I understand it correctly that the two-factor authentication will start only once the reporting is closed? So I said currently in this pilot, we don't have any project roles involved, so reporting is not concerned. The plan is to make it mandatory in the first quarter next year. We will, of course, warn on this. But again, here I should recommend you just go and activate a second factor. It is completely independent of any currently open or not open operation that you do in the portal. You can at any moment activate this second factor. Next question. Our organization has only one PF sign and is not legally allowed to appoint more. For over 100 active project account administrators of the PF sign are necessary. I think this is a misunderstanding. Account administrators are delegated for the LEAR function, not for the signatory function. And if your organization indeed has a policy that only one person can sign, then only that one person can sign. So that would be the same on paper as it is in our electronic system. Next question, and I would say we stop here then with this next question. Can I enter my account and change the answers to the 3 questions? Who can reply to this one?
I guess if you know them, but you have to remember the answers to the first 3 questions.
Okay, we haven't yet, we have to admit that we haven't thought about this possibility because it's normally not necessary. If you still remember your questions, why do you want to change them? We will come back and analyze this in detail, and maybe we will put a frequently asked question on this issue. So I would suggest we close the session here now. As I said, if you have issues and problems with particular methods and with your attempts to activate the 2 factors, please open a ticket with our service desk. Thank you very much again for all the interesting questions. And again, my plea, please don't wait. Please go and activate your 2nd factor now or as soon as possible. Thank you very much and bye-bye.